Hi, welcome, beautiful, beloved souls. This is mainly a commentary channel where I look at anything and everything to do with life and death through different lenses, hence the name of the channel. Ultimately, though, it's my lens. And for those of you who are new, my name is Gem Stone. I'm a psychic medium and I am an author. This video is continuing the series about reality. And for the next few days, we are going to look at different parts. So this is called Reality Under the Microscope, Part 2. Is matter really solid? In the last episode, we asked a question that philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. Do things exist when nobody is looking? We've explored consciousness. We've explored perception. We explored whether reality might be stranger than it first appears. In part 2, I'd like to continue that journey. But this time, we're leaving philosophy for a little while and we're stepping into physics. And I have to warn you, the deeper you go into modern physics, the stranger reality becomes. In fact, by the end of this video, I think you'll look at the chair you're sitting on very differently. The illusion of solidity. So the illusion of everything being solid. I would like you to do something. Reach out and touch the nearest object. Maybe it's your coffee mug. Maybe it's your desk. Maybe it's your mobile phone. Maybe it's the chair you're sitting on. It feels solid, doesn't it? Firm, stable, real. It certainly doesn't feel empty. Yet, according to modern physics, almost everything you're touching is empty space. Now, before anyone panics and thinks they've fallen into a science fiction movie, let me explain. The object is absolutely real. You aren't imagining it, but what is made up of probably very different from what most of us picture. My first real introduction to biochemistry. Many years ago, I enrolled in Western herbal medicine. Unfortunately, I never completed the course. Life took me in different directions. But one subject absolutely fascinated me: biochemistry. I still remember sitting there learning about atoms, molecules, proteins, carbohydrates, acids, alkalis, and the incredible chemistry that makes life possible. I received a distinction in that subject, not because I was particularly brilliant, but because I found it endlessly fascinating. For the first time, I realized that everything around me was built from the same basic ingredients. My body, your body, my dog, the trees, the ocean, the stars, everything. Nature wasn't creating endless new ingredients. It was creating endless new combinations. It's rather like having a box of Lego. The brick remains the same, but the possibilities become almost infinite. Carbon, nature's master builder. One element changed everything. Carbon. Carbon is extraordinary because it can form 4 chemical bonds. That might not sound very exciting, but it means carbon can build incredibly complex structures. Add hydrogen, add oxygen, add nitrogen, add phosphorus, add sulfur. Arrange them differently. Suddenly, you have DNA, proteins, fats, sugars, muscle, skin, brains, trees, flowers, whales, human beings. It's astonishing to think that all life on Earth is built from a relatively small collection of elements arranged in unimaginably creative ways. Nature isn't constantly inventing new ingredients, it is endlessly rearranging the same ones. So, what is an atom? Let's zoom in. Imagine enlarging a single atom until it becomes the size of a huge sporting stadium. Where would the nucleus be? Right in the center. And how large would it be? Roughly the size of a pea or perhaps a marble, depending on the comparison. Everything else would mostly be empty. Now that's only a rough analogy because modern physics tell us electrons don't orbit the nucleus like tiny planets around the sun. Instead, they exist as probability clouds. Even physicists admit this is difficult to picture because it doesn't resemble everything in our everyday experience. But the important point is this: matter is mostly empty space, which immediately raises another question. If atoms are mostly empty, why don't we fall through the floor? Why doesn't your hand pass through the table? This is where physics becomes truly fascinating. The answer is not because the atoms are little solid balls touching each other. Instead, the electrons in your hand repel the electrons in the table through electromagnetic forces. In other words, when you place your hand on the table, what you experience as touch is largely the interaction of invisible forces. The sensation of solidity is real. So the sensation of things being solid is real. But it isn't quite what our everyday intuition imagines. What feels like 2 solid objects touching is actually a complex dance of electromagnetic interactions. Reality is stranger than common sense. Matter changes its personality. Matter isn't fixed. We learn at school about solids, liquids, and gases. Ice becomes water. Water becomes steam. The molecules haven't become something entirely different. Their arrangement and energy have changed. Then science discovered plasma, a state of matter found in stars, lightning, and much of the visible universe. And modern physics has discovered even more exotic states, such as Bose-Einstein condensates, where matter behaves in ways that seem almost magical compared to our everyday experience. Nature is far more imaginative than our senses reveal. The invisible universe. Now, let's make things even stranger. Everything you've ever seen is only a tiny fraction of reality. Our eyes detect only visible light, but beyond visible light lies infrared, ultraviolet, radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays. They are all part of the electromagnetic spectrum. They surround us all the time. We simply cannot see them. Think about that. The universe is already larger than human perception, not because it's hiding, but because our senses evolved to help us survive, not to reveal everything. Dogs smell a world we cannot imagine. Bees see ultraviolet patterns on flowers. Sharks detect electrical fields. Bats navigate using sound. Every creature experiences a different reality. Perhaps humans are no different. Perhaps we experience one version of reality among many. Dark matter and antimatter. Then we encounter two mysterious ideas: dark matter and antimatter. Dark matter is one of the greatest mysteries in modern astronomy. Scientists cannot see it directly. It doesn't seem to interact with light the way ordinary matter does. Yet, galaxies behave as though enormous amounts of unseen matter are present. Something appears to be there. We simply don't yet know exactly what it is. Then there is antimatter. Antimatter isn't another universe. It's matter's remarkable counterpart. For every electron, there is a positron. For many particles, there exists an antiparticle. When matter and antimatter meet, they can annihilate one another, converting much of their mass into energy. The universe, however, contains far more matter than antimatter. Why? Scientists are still searching for the answer. I love that. The more we learn, the more mystery remains. Could everything be vibration? Now, I'd like to move into a more speculative area. Some physicists have proposed string theory. The idea is that the smallest building blocks of reality may not be point-like particles at all. Instead, they could be unimaginably tiny vibrating strings. Different vibrations would produce different particles. Different particles would produce everything we see. String theory remains unconfirmed, but I find the idea fascinating. The universe as vibration, because long before modern physics, many spiritual traditions also spoke about vibration. Sacred chants, mantras, the music of the spheres. Different cultures arrived at similar metaphors through very different paths. That doesn't mean they were describing the same thing, but it does remind us that humans have long sensed there may be a rhythm underlining existence. Relationships rather than objects. The more I learn, the less I think reality is made of isolated objects. Perhaps reality is made of relationships. Relationships between atoms. Relationships between particles. Relationships between energy. Relationships between living organisms. Relationships between people. Even our own bodies are communities of cells, bacteria, and chemical interactions working together. Nothing truly exists in complete isolation. Everything participates in something larger. Closing. When I first studied biochemistry, I thought I was learning about chemistry. Looking back now, I realize I was learning something much bigger. I was learning that reality is far more elegant than I had imagined. The same handful of elements becomes mountains, oceans, trees, birds, dogs, and somehow a human brain capable of wondering what matter is. Perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all, that the universe has arranged itself in such a way that part of it can stop looking around and ask questions about itself. In our next episode, I'd like to ask even a deeper question. If matter isn't quite what it seems, what is reality actually made of? Is it information, mathematics, consciousness, or something beyond our current understanding? Until next time, keep asking questions, because sometimes the greatest discoveries don't begin with answers. They begin with curiosity. All right. Thank you for watching. Now, as always, if you're going to drop a comment, please be respectful. Please be kind to each other. Smile at a stranger. You might just save a life. Take care of yourselves, because you matter. You are precious. And I'll see you tomorrow. Love, light, and blessings. Bye. Have a good weekend.